Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, March 4th, 2024. This is the regular session of the School Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is 6:02. The place is the Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312. We are also via live stream, www.scec.k12.in.us. This is a meeting of the school board in public to conduct the school corporation business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King.
Present.
Trustee Gomez.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Trustee Jose Artiega.
Present.
Sorry, that's how it is on the paper. Chairman Rodriguez.
Present. May we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Item 3 would be the agenda. 3.1, the approval of the agenda. Are there any comments from the audience on approving the agenda today? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Gomez.
I want to make approval of the agenda with the following change. Number 7, the organization of the board is actually old business, so I'd like to move that up to right before new business.
Was that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, motion made by Trustee Gomez to move the organization of the board to the top of the agenda.
Old business.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Artiega. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
No.
Trustee Artiega.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
No. That motion passes, so that's now at the top of the agenda. 3.01, the approval of the agenda as amended. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that was the motion.
Okay.
Correct, Attorney Harris?
And there was a second?
There was a second, it just got voted on.
Okay. Any other discussions? Madam Secretary, roll call.
This has already been, we've already had a roll call.
Oh, roll call vote for the 3 point. Okay. Item 4, presentation. 4.01, interim superintendent, Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, I have a presentation, but just, I would like, because we do have visitors, wasn't expecting our Central High School sectional winners, champions, to be here this afternoon, so I want to make sure that we acknowledge them. Coach Ally, you want to stand, have your players stand, and you know, Coach Braylon Gordon, Coach Gordon. You can step to the mic over here. The mic on this side.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
We have our boys' basketball coach. Coach Ala has done a great job. Kids are doing well. He's going to say a few words about them, but I am so proud of him. Coach Ala.
First of all, I want to say thank you guys. Thank everybody in this community. Give yourselves a round of applause. the support that we've gotten all year, not only at our basketball games, but just in general, through social media, through every outlet has been phenomenal, and I think it's really propelled our guys. Our coaching staff has done a phenomenal job. I think our coaching staff is very elite. They've really, really put the time in with these guys through the summer. Well, really, we started in the spring, through the spring, summer, and fall. So it's been very, very tremendous. We've seen a lot of success, and our guys are just really, really good students. In the classroom, I think they've excelled through study tables and things of that nature. So all of those things have really, really tied into what we've done as a program so far. We've been process-based, and they've really bought into it. So we have a great group of young men, and they're really hungry for more. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry. Our regionals will be played at Michigan City High School on Saturday. Regional championships at 4 o'clock Central. I know on Facebook it's circulating. There's a picture that says 5 p.m. That's Eastern time. Okay, so we play at 4 p.m. Central against Mishawaka, a very good team. So, we're looking to do some really good things, and we hope you guys come out and continue showing the support you guys have shown all year. Thank you.
I truly appreciate you. I'm very proud. It does us all well. It does the community well to be able to walk alongside the champions. And not only have you shown to be champions on the court, you also have shown to be champions as ambassadors, as well as champions in the classroom. So we want to thank you for that. Again, it's not always that we have great things to say about our community, but I am elated that you guys are doing what you're doing. So I want you to keep your head up, stay prayerful, stay faithful, and do what's right even when nobody's looking, because believe it, somebody's looking.
That's right, yeah.
Right, and so thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to start my presentation now. I was asked by the board's president, Joel Rodriguez, on the last board meeting to come prepared to do kind of an update. So this is sort of this update to the goals, but also it goes into what we've accomplished thus far. We'd like to begin with the operations. We know that operations is a piece that has been really challenging to this district. And when I say challenging to the district, there's many things that don't happen when you don't have a good operational plan. And you're not following any type of procedure. Pretty much, we've been running as like a wild, wild west where anything goes. And when anything goes, everything goes the wrong way. And so with these operational goals, I really just have one main goal here. But the goal is encompassed by several objectives, of course. This main goal is really by the end of the academic year, we will see a 20% improvement in overall operational efficiency and sustainability with the following objectives. And what that simply means is that for each department, we have an overarching goal. So if we were to just in our resource management, just streamline procurement, inventory management, distribution process, equipment, technology, and supplies, that's going to have a tremendous savings to the district, not only in terms of dollars, but also in terms of the amount of waste that goes out. And right now we see tremendous waste. We see applications that's bulk, that are not utilized. We see supplies that go uninventoried, and we end up duplicating and buying those supplies in triplicate, and then we have storage houses full of supplies that no one uses because the following year we're going to buy the same supplies. So we have to streamline that procurement process to ensure that we're tagging, tracking, doing inventory as equipment comes in. Also goes for supplies. We also want to implement a proactive approach to facilities maintenance. Right now, we're very reactive. Something has to happen before a call is made, and then maybe someone goes and addresses that issue. So by doing regular inspections, repairs, and upgrades, we reduce that deferred maintenance that really has our district underwater right now. By reducing the deferred maintenance, by being proactive on cleaning, proactive on repairs, proactive with inspections, we will turn this part of the district around, and we'll have better facilities. in transportation, we want to really optimize that, and we can improve our transportation by optimizing those bus routes. I know that I got some concerns about buses being in front of liquor stores and various things like that. We have some vehicles that, you know, we really do have a good mechanic staff at the bus depot, but there are some buses that they're older, so they require a little bit more maintenance. We also have to put in another schedule for those older buses to ensure that they get more frequent attention than some of our newer buses, and that's not the case. All the buses are on the general schedule, and we need to make sure that schedule is flexible enough to handle the difference in age of our buses and the type of repairs that need to happen. And our safety and security, we've done quite a bit in safety and security. Leading off with, we developed the emergency management plan. You'll see them on the doors. But more than that, Rick Chavarria has done a tremendous job at revamping that whole piece. We had some assistance. We got some really great technical support in to really help us with that. And we actually activated that safety and security plan probably about 3 or 4 times this academic year. One for the power outage, another for the weather, another for the HVAC systems going down. We had an incident at our middle school that required a lockdown. So we really have got our bang for the buck for that particular safety and security plan that was put in place. Not counting the screeners that we have as people come in, as our students, and we have visitors come through the doors. We're tracking everyone. We're scanning everyone to ensure that we don't have any people with ill intent coming to do malfeasance in our building. So we're really on top of that. In terms of sustainability, I don't know if you paid attention, but all of the schools now have the big recycle bins. They were just put in on last week. And so those recycle bins are aimed to really reduce our waste and increase our recycling efforts. That not only has a savings to the environment, but also it's a savings to the district because we have less cost of waste disposal, but also where it's better for our environment. But then also for our environmental footprint, we've changed the windows out at Block Middle School. That reduces, that's another type of waste, right? Those are environmental pollutants, like air escapes, you have higher utility costs, you burn more fossil fuels trying to heat the buildings. So we've been also ensuring that our buildings are energy efficient. That also has a great sustainability measures. We've already had some things happen in our elementary schools in terms of actuated lighting. That's going on at Central right now. The LED lighting that's controlled by motion, they're being installed in Central as we speak. So we're putting a lot of sustainability initiatives in place. Again, that has the outcome of reducing costs, but also reducing our footprint, our carbon footprint. Here is an infographic that really goes over all the things that we managed to accomplish thus far. If you look at that up under our business offices, we've instituted a dashboard for our title programs and title spending. What that allows us to do is for any principal, anyone that has title dollars, they'll be able to take a snapshot and see exactly where they're at any given point in time. And that helps out with making sure that we're not sending money back to the state or federal government, which in essence is one of the ways that we've been losing in this district because we have the resources, but when you don't use the resources or the resources are mismanaged, then that's that doesn't look so good from operational or a financial perspective. Looking at that, you also have in our communications, we increased our inter and intra-system communications. So now we have regular departmental meetings. And when I was here, before I assumed this position, I can remember maybe going to one or maybe possible 2 cabinet meetings. We have a cabinet meeting now every Monday at 10 o'clock with all departments present, and we managed to become a lot more efficient with those meetings. Not only have we been able to make sure that we all are informed about one another's departments, we've also have increased effectiveness and efficiencies because now we're collaborating. And we're collaborating in a unified effort instead of going after the limited resources competitively. When you eliminate the competitive, now resources start to be used a little bit better. They go a lot further. And so we're seeing those as we continue on through this year. I'm going to jump down a little bit in our district and building operations. We also have, we start to use project management tools. And those project management tools has helped us really communicate with each other a whole lot better. There's a tool that we use called RACI. It's responsibility, accountability, consult, and inform. And what that particular tool allows us to do is for every position, it tells who you need to consult, who's responsible for that, who's accountable for it, and who needs to be informed for whatever decision that you make in any process, whether that's ordering a pencil, or whether that's suspending a student, or whether that's hosting a sectional basketball game. So that chart helps us really communicate well across projects and programs. In our organizational charts, we had one main organizational chart in the past that was like the superintendent and then your directors. Now we have 17 organizational charts that goes into every department. So now people within the principals know who's in their buildings, whether that's faculty, staff. The directors know who's in the buildings they manage. And the central office knows who's in all the buildings. But anybody can have access to those organizational charts. They'll be posted probably within the next week or two as we go in and revamp our website. Facilities. We've really been trying to build efficiencies there in facilities just because right now the process that we have is really paper-based. We're going to be moving to an electronic system where when a work order goes in, we'll be able to call those work orders red, green, yellow. People know what that means. They're used to pulling up to a stoplight and they know what that means, right? So right now, a work order goes in and where does it go? I know many teachers like, I put this work order in 2 years ago and nobody's ever did anything. Now that work order is going to be electronic. We can assign that work order to a person and we'll have a dashboard to see if that person has actually activated that. Where they at? Did they finish it? It's green. If they're working on it, it's yellow. If they haven't done what they were supposed to do, it's red. This is an accountability. We can look at it visually. When we look at the HVACs, we're talking about that. We're just talking about that as a board a little bit. And that project is going to be executed within the next 2 weeks. There's going to be work with contractors going into 3 of our buildings, starting that HVAC work. So some of the buildings will have new HVAC systems. Capital projects, we've evaluated all of our buildings, and we've done walkthroughs. So we're starting to prioritize now what capital projects need to take place. I know that we had one teacher come in, was talking about the pool at Block. However, when our students at the high school, when we're going up to sectionals, we had to swap Block for the high school to get their pool going so that our guys can compete in sectionals. But that doesn't mean that Block is on the wayside. We just have to swap the order of them. And so, but that's what happens when you plan. You know exactly where everything is on the timeline, and you're able to make those adjustments and keep everything going so that you don't miss anything, you don't drop any balls. And food service, we've been having a phenomenal success with food service in terms of not only procurement of goods, but also having better quality choices in the work sessions. I know my board heard all the things that's happening in food service. Just this morning, we heard that that there's going to be more healthy options, and those healthy options are going to be locally grown. And so that's awesome. So now our children won't be getting processed foods. They're getting food that's grown in the community in which they live. And you can't say anything better than that. Safety and security, we have some work plans. And that's our response piece. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to prolong this. But if you have any questions, we're going to post some of these things out there so that you can see what's going on. But as you can tell in operations, every single department has major projects that we're moving forward on, and it's making a difference. Hopefully you all can see and feel the difference. I know I do since I've been here. In academics and curriculum, again, overarching goals, right? We can go and nitpick a goal and say we're going to have a 10% growth rate, but 10% of somebody that's performing at 26% is only 2.6%. You're still under 30%, which means you're still failing bad. But when you look at it from a perspective of having an overarching goal, and you're saying that we're going to do 100%, make sure that we have 100% instructional materials and all our core subjects are aligned with both state and federal guidelines and regulations, that means that we're moving the whole district forward. We're not looking at just the reading score of somebody, of a school that's at 26% pass rate, and they're saying they're going to do a 10% growth. We're looking at a whole district, and with this, by ensuring that our teachers and our students have instructional materials, they have the tools and resources that they need to get the job done, by ensuring that all of our subjects, our core subjects, are aligned with federal and state guidelines, now we're moving the needle. Now we can't say that we're out of compliance or we haven't followed any regulation, or we're being cited on something, and our schools are failing because we're looking at everything holistically, and then we're moving that wall forward. And that only happens when we have full transparency, disclosure, and that we're working together and making sure that everybody's voice is heard, whether that's faculty, staff, student, parent, community. And because everyone has a role to play in this, it's that we isolated people and they didn't feel that they had a voice. And when they feel that they don't have a voice, then usually they make up something, usually that sometimes make things worse, or they do nothing. That's even worse of not making up something. But now we have participation, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate our board members for being on top of that and saying something about it, intentionally, unintentionally, every single board meeting, that we have to do something to really move this needle. And so these are some of the things that we've been doing to move the needle. When I came in, we didn't have a director of SEL, which is state mandated. We didn't have a director of ELL, which is federal and state mandated, and now we have both. And now we're also seeing different activities that's happening in those departments and programming that's happening that's not only good for the social and emotional health of our students, but also we have a whole population, 25% of our population, 25% of the Latino population is English language learners. English is not their first language. And now we have someone to address that. We built out that whole department. We have not only have a director, but we have people that's working up under that director as teachers and counselors that's really paying attention to this population, and we're seeing movement there. When it comes down to the alternative school, this is something that we didn't take lightly, but you just don't do alternative school and just wake up and say, I'm going to put an alternative school in this building over here. You have to have a plan. And I hear my amen going over there. Without a plan, then you might as well not do anything. Our plan was to put the infrastructure in first. So if we're going to have an alternative school, listening to what one of my board members would say all the time, we need to put trades in the schools. So what better place to put a trade in the school than an alternative school? So the first thing we did was we reached out to one of the unions, IKORCC, that's Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, that's the Carpenters and Millwright Union. We have an articulation agreement with them. Not an MOU, not a letter of commitment, but an articulation agreement. What that means is that we're going to teach their curriculum in our school. When our students finish, they don't have to wait for an opening in a union. They go directly into a union apprenticeship program, which means they go and when they go into the apprenticeship program, once they have all their paperwork in, within 24 hours they're assigned a gainfully employable job at Davis-Bacon wages. What that means is that there's no minimum wage in Davis-Bacon. Davis-Bacon, the laborer, starts at $27.66 an hour. So someone that we didn't see value in our traditional school now can go to our alternative school, not only get a high school diploma, but now get a trade. And one day after they step into the trade union hall, they are assigned the laborer position at $27.60 an hour. At 17 or 18 years old. That's a game changer. You just changed not only that person's life, you changed their whole family's life. Right? And so as we go on, we look at the EP and para teacher plan. And so what we did here, and actually we had 5 paras that moved over to sub, that moved into the teacher program, that have graduated with their degrees already.
All right.
And this was just implemented, so that's another win. And then we have the dean to credential. We all sat in the same room in July. And in this room in July, we were getting rid of 7 of our deans because they didn't have credentials. Now, all of those deans are in the dean to credential program at Calumet College St. Joe, working on their bachelor's degrees.
Nice.
Some already had bachelor's degrees, so some of those are working on their master's. But everyone is enrolled in a program today, and many of them will be graduating. I'll tell you this, 3 of those deans is at no cost to the district because what I asked Cal College to do is to first take them through the traditional enrollment process, which means they have to go through financial aid. They qualify for financial aid, give them that Pell Grant, give them that they'll buy scholarships, give them whatever it is that's there, and then that reduces our costs. So 3 of our deans don't even have a cost, and they're going back to school. Awesome, right? So again, they sat in the same room, no credential, and within the next few months, they will all have credentials. We also have Affinity Behavioral Health. Before, they were just a contractor in our schools that were just servicing a handful of students that was assigned that maybe needed some help from special ed. Now we have them, thanks to the board voted on that MOU, they have a space in Central High School, and they're able to service not only our students, but the families. And they've actually activated that service, going to the families' homes for those that didn't want to come to the school. Again, game changer. Mental and emotional health is second to none. If you don't have your sanity, you don't have the quality of life. And now we're restoring our children back with their sanities, their family back with that sanity. And we know that we had deaths on the highway this year. We had accidental deaths with drownings. We had death by nature, the natural causes. We had so much trauma. A shooting at one of the... So all of this trauma is impacting our children. That's not even counting the trauma from trauma. That's not even counting the trauma that they have just at home. We don't know what type of environment they're coming from. But now we have a resource to help them cope. You don't get any better than that. We also have, for the first time, from what I'm hearing, maybe it's not the first time, Ms. Tammy's been here for a long time, but SPED and ELL are working really closely together for the first time. Now, Ms. Tammy's been here for a long time. She said for the first time, these departments are working together to service our most vulnerable populations. What happens when you work together, Ms. Tammy? Change happens. Positive change happens. And when positive change happens, we can't help but to have a better student. As we go further on this, we have our Lincoln Elementary School. Back in November, I asked you all that we wanted to begin to theme Lincoln Elementary as an arts school. But we want to also take care of that population of special needs that was there. So we hired a psychologist, we hired interventionist social workers that's at that school, and so we started that transition of theming our elementary schools. And so that's going on. We're going to continue to drop things in this semester. So when the fall comes, we're going to work on a plan to theme all of our elementary schools. They will all be tracked, whether it's going to be arts, whether it's going to be STEM, healthcare, agriculture. All of our elementary schools will be themed. So when they go to junior high school, they have a better idea of where they sit and fit. And junior high school, we're going to start college to career. So now they can start walking in the path that they think they want to go. And many times, the path that, when we get support and a path where we think we want to go, we're closer to the end of wherever we're going. So that means in high school, now they're better prepared to go into, if they want to go college, they want to go career, they want to go military. The first day they step into the halls of Central High School as a freshman, they're stepping into the halls to the rest of their life because they will be able to embark on a journey of dual enrollment. Not dual credit, not AP, dual enrollment, which means they have a shot at getting their associate's degree before they graduate with the high school diploma. At that point, they got a shot at really mastering the whole steps of the JRTC program, so when they graduate, they know that, okay, if I want to be an officer, this is what I want to do. If I want to be enlisted, this is where I go. again, we're not giving our students opportunities because we're not starting them early enough and introducing them to careers. And we have a lot of professionals in our community that want to give back. And that's evidenced by our One Church, One School, where we have tons of professionals that's going into the schools and making a difference every day. And Empower Schools, I was talked to, we have collectively as administration said that we need help to theme these schools. We need help with this. So Empower Schools is an organization that's going to walk alongside of us to help us not only raise money to do this, but also give us technical support to ensure that it happens. So we're going to be competing for a $300,000 planning grant for each school. And then if we win that planning grant, we'll get $3 million, up to $3 million for each school that participates. And we have 5 of our 6 schools that qualify. So here it is, we're saying that we had a loss of $2 million this year, just because of drop in attendance. Now we're saying we have opportunity to get close to $20 million just for doing what we should have been doing anyway. And that is educating our children to be prepared to go into the careers that this community offers. And on top of that, we're doing it with the people that we already have, because the same people that we looked at that didn't have a degree are the same people that are working with us to get their degrees and becoming that highly qualified teacher in our district. So that's the definition of grow your own. That is, we have to make sure that we're taking care of our own first. As we go on, we have one engagement goal. It's a pretty long goal, right? Engagement is everything. I think that they say that the #1 failure of public education is lack of engagement, right? Because if people were engaged, things would be different. So this engagement goal clearly says we want to increase engagement with community, parents, students. We're going to drop down. That engagement has to be intentional. That's areas of focus. But it also has to be transparent. We also have to make sure we have the voices heard. And this is where we also got to, and when we say voices heard, that's culture, right? When we say voices heard, that means that we're going to celebrate achievements, no matter how big or how small. When we say voices heard, that means that we're not going to not answer our phone because, oh, he or she are calling me. We're going to service them. Now, whatever it is that they are asking for. And these are some of the things that we've accomplished already. We have all of these partnerships. AARP, we have a partnership for those folks that's in One Church, One School that may be retired, that will volunteer their time. Now, if they sign up for that program, they'll get paid for that time. Again, most retirees are on a fixed income, and this will be an income supplement. Because again, they're doing it out of their hearts. We know that because they step to the plate with no incentive. But now that they decide to step to the plate, now they can stay on that plate a little longer because there is incentive. As we go further, we have board participation. This is not necessarily our board participation, but the boards that I participate on that have opened up some other relationships. And those relationships that have been the partnerships and collaborations that we've been doing. So over that time, we have over 25 supporting nonprofit and other organizations participating in our school. That's not counting the ones that's up here. Again, I have Cleveland Cliffs, our next door neighbor. Never really had truly engaged them. We engaged them, and now they're sponsoring the STEM program over at the middle school. But I also engaged them because we said that we have a fitness center that the teachers so kindly stepped to the plate to help us subsidize. But I said, that's not good enough. This is a community asset. What if we had our large corporations come and subsidize it? And so they've taken my request to the foundation board in Cleveland, Ohio. And so hopefully we'll hear something back within the next couple of months if they're going to subsidize our fitness center. But that fitness center is going to be tied into their wellness center, so it makes sense. Again, I didn't want to ask them for $100,000 a year for the next 20 years. I was like, well, don't you have a wellness program? And do they go to fitness clubs or they go into gym, Anytime Fitness, all these places? I said, why don't you make us one of your vendors? You made us one of your vendors. Now you can cut us that check. And if your people want to get off work and come over and work out, they can. Many of them that live in the community are going to come there anyway. Now, there is a mutual benefit there. And everybody wins. Now we look at the One Church, One School again, non-denominational. We have over 24 churches that's volunteering with all of our schools today. We also have legislator engagement. I've been working with our legislators from the first day that I was appointed to this position. The first calls I made was to our legislators. It's like, we can't go forward if we don't have our elected officials at least knowledgeable about what's going on in their districts. And so we have that relationship now, and now I get invited to all types of things. And actually, I'm not a legislator, so I can't co-author a bill, but I have put my voice into a couple of bills that are now being voted on in our state legislature. We have, and then these are all the colleges that we partner with. You'll see here the relationship that we have, Cal College St. Joe, our para program, our dean program. We have Chicago State. Chicago State has a very interesting, we have a very interesting thing with that. They're going to bring faculty members here, educate our faculty. But the biggest thing that they're going to do, they're dropping in the Call Me Mr. program. That Call Me Mr. program is for our black and brown boys, starting from the 9th grade to 12th grade, getting them the dual credit towards school, elementary or secondary degree. And then when they graduate, they'll graduate as a junior, and then they only have a year left before they get their teaching credential, going to Chicago State. Call Me Mr. program, and what happens with that, they're committed to come back to us for 3 years after they graduate. So they're going to train to be a teacher in high school, finish their training after a year, come back to us for 3 years. Now we have men in the classroom, something that's been absent in most classrooms around the nation. And we have a program that this college has agreed to step to the plate to do. Modeled after the one at UIC, but the first one was at Clapton University in South Carolina. Clapton Indiana University, of course we do the urban teacher education program, but we just signed on to a grant with them for career counseling. So now we go on heavy on that counseling piece. We have to make sure that our children are aware of the opportunities that are out there. Our parents are aware of the opportunities so they know how to better utilize their resources. At Purdue, we have a relationship with not only Purdue Northwest, but also Purdue University. Purdue Northwest, they're doing a literacy program in our elementary schools. I think also in our junior high school, right, Dr. Yanders? And then we also have a teacher program with them too. And they also are doing some counselor training for us. So that's Purdue University, Purdue Northwest. Indiana Wesleyan, awesome program. I'll be bringing this to you all shortly. But this particular program, it's called the Step Up program, and what that program essentially does, it takes the parents that we have in the classroom that may have been parents with us for 10, 15 years, or EPs that's been with us in that for a long time. It'll take their experience, convert that to college credits, which moves them further along the continuum to get their teacher education degree. And that's the Step Up program. It's been, they've done it for 2 years in Texas. They're bringing it to Indiana, and Indiana Wesleyan, of course, is in Marion, Indiana, but they tested it out in Texas first, and now it's ready to go. We're going to be one of the first schools in the state of Indiana using their Step Up program. And then Ivy Tech, we've already had a relationship with Ivy Tech with some dual credits, minimal, but now in our MOU, we added in something that we didn't have before. Early college, which means that coming into their freshman year, they sign up for college. And then we have the ASAP program. So those that may be sophomore, junior year that don't have enough to get that associate's degree, after they finish, they'll have to go to school for 11 months after they graduate, and they get their associate's degree, and that ties into the 2+2 program at Indiana University Northwest. So for 3 years after they finish high school, they'll have their bachelor's degree. But in 1 year after they finish, they'll have they'll complete their associates. Awesome programs. Then Valparaiso University, we've been working with them with high school in Richmond. I think we sent a group of students over there a couple of months ago just to get exposed to a private university, private Christian university. Our children like it. We're going to continue that relationship and build on that. And there's also scholarships that were committed. Those scholarships can't take credit for that. Those scholarships were committed with Dr. Abrego. But we added on the component of we need to get more of our students exposed so they know what the scholarship is and what it can do for them and how it can change their life. And then, of course, when Vanessa Hernandez, let me see, District, West Councilwoman Vanessa Hernandez Orange, we started I know we always have partnerships with the Parks Department, but I think we got to try to get a little bit closer. And hopefully we'll continue to grow that relationship with whoever has taken your place. But again, these are all relationships that were built. And all relationships that were always there. We just didn't know where to find them. So I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you. And that brings us to the close of my presentation.
Next, we'll have the organization.
Can we ask some questions?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. No, because that was good. No, thank you for that. So you were talking about the, these teachers in the Transition to Teach program. I was just wondering how many teachers were part of that program. That's
Right
a,
now,
yeah.
we have 26 teachers in the program.
That's all, yeah.
Active right
Okay.
now, but we only do 26 at a time so that we don't just upset the apple cart and not be able to afford them. So
Yeah.
teachers roll out of there every semester,
Okay,
right? Now, that's not counting those teachers that we take through the traditional financial aid process. Like I said, there's 3 deans that's in that program that are not part of the 26. Right? So anybody that qualifies for regular financial aid, we want them to get that and not just come to our program. Before, it's just, I signed up for the program, you pay for it. I'll say, that's not how college works. Let's make sure that we're doing a really good steward of our resources. Let's go through the financial aid process. It takes a little longer, but at least there could be a savings on both sides, which means that we can educate more of our faculty and staff.
yeah. And then the other, just kind of question, well, not really a question, but, the social emotional learning is such an important role. I was just wondering if you can just give us, or maybe Dr. Yanders, just like I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that, we know that the community knows how important the role is and, how important you are in that position. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Oh, and then just one more thing, as you walking up. We also have the relationship with Community Health Net. Right now, we have a nurse practitioner, and I was just told that we're near 100% vaccination and immunization because of that. And at the end of this month, all of our students that need us physical will be getting their physicals at no charge. So that's all part of the Community Health Net.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Date, for putting me on the spot. But when it comes to social emotional learning, this is something that our students needed pre-COVID. So a lot of people think that COVID was the reason why our students are going through so many mental health issues, when in reality, our students were going through this before COVID. And what COVID has done was brought to the forefront the fact that we can't teach a child if their mind is elsewhere. We cannot teach a hungry child. We cannot teach an abused child. We cannot teach a child that doesn't have a voice. Most importantly, we cannot teach a child that does not have a relationship and something to hold on to when they come into our schools. One of the most important things for anyone, especially our children, us as adults, it's relationships. So when it comes to SEL, that social emotional learning, it's how do we teach our children coping skills? How do we teach them? A lot of them have anger management issues. So how do we help them deal with that? How do we help them cope with the fact that their situation, you can leave it outside, but we're going to help you on the inside. Also giving them those tools to cope once they leave our doors. When they come into our doors on Monday through Friday, we provide social emotional learning curriculum, but I don't want it shouldn't stop there. So I'm going to explain my role as the social emotional learning director. It has surpassed that social emotional part, and it has transcended into the other 3 buckets under the MTSS umbrella. So social emotional learning is just one of the teardrops under the MTSS umbrella, the multi-tier system of support. You have your academics, you have your attendance, and then you have the social emotional learning piece. So I found in this role that what's happening is everyone was operating in silos. And academics was doing this. Attendance was doing that. Social emotional was doing that. And no one was connecting the dots. So that became evident at the onset of me coming into the district. So how can I think at the first presentation, the groups that I'm responsible for are, for the most part, have been the counselors, social workers, nurses, deans. So how can I connect those dots? When I did the first presentation in the first workshop with them, I said I'm the dot connector. So as the dot connector, and you look at the MTSS thing, the foundation of it, that core, that first tier, is core instruction. Once again, I'm bringing that all in together. How do we make the connect the dots and provide students with wraparound services so I can sit down and I can take in what's being taught to me? How do I give my children the tools? How do I make them want to come to school? How do I provide them with not only the learning at grade level, but also giving them the tools to climb? One of the things that we shouldn't be in the habit, what's happening in our schools is we are lowering the fence of expectations because our students are scoring low. Instead of lowering that fence of expectations, what we should be doing is giving them a ladder to climb higher. And that's what we are doing. We're making the mistake of watering it down just because I can't add. We're making the mistake of teaching the whole class how to add again. Instead of starting teaching instruction off at grade level, and then breaking off and providing interventions to give that child grade level as well as intervention tools. So I can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about the SEL, but the most important part is how do we tie these tools together? Looking at our resources, another thing, we have too many resources in this district. And speaking with my teachers, that's the conversation. Like, when do we use what? How do we use what? So when I first also came in, one of the things I've done was I'm creating, well, we're in the midst of auditing every piece of curriculum in this district. Because some of these pieces of curriculum that we're using, we're paying for them and we're not using them. That's a waste of money. You're confusing my teachers. I don't know what you use. Do I use this reading program or that reading program? What tier am I using it for? Third tier, second tier, first tier? Emotional intervention tools. Who do I go to? Do I go to the dean first? Do I go to the nurse? Who do I go to? So trying to just put all of those pieces together. I am your dot connector. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll move forward on the organization of the board, starting with the board president. I'd like to
Mr.
open up the
Chairman,
floor for nominations
Mr. Chairman,
for board president 2024.
Chairman, before we get
President,
there,
I'd like to
we're
make
at
a
consent agenda.
I'm sorry?
We have a consent agenda, number 5.
Payroll.
Didn't we move the organization? Gotcha. Okay, sorry about that. Get back up to. All right, number 5, consent agenda. Are there any comments from the audience on the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion made by trustee Smith, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second made by trustee Gomez. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Artiega?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Now, we go down to the organization of the board. Starting with board president, I'd like to open up the nominations for board president 2024.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a nomination for the president. I'd like to nominate Jose Arteaga for president.
Okay, motion made to nominate Jose Artiega. Is there any other nominations?
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Gomez.
I move to be closed nominations.
Any other nominations at this time? Hearing none. Nominations is closed. Trustee Jose Artiega, congratulations on becoming the board president for 2024.
Oh. Did you want to sit? Oh, we'll just move it this.
Tell me.
Thank you.
Yes, it is right there.
All right, we will go ahead and move on with 4.02, the election of the board vice president. Do I hear any nominations?
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Jesse Gomez.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Trustee Smith.
Are there any other nominations at this time? All right, then we are closing nominations, and we can begin with the roll call. Sorry, we can begin with the roll call for the election of vice president. Please cast your vote by last name.
Gomez. Oh, okay. Okay. Trustee Gibson King,
Gomez.
trustee Gomez,
Gomez.
trustee Smith,
Smith.
trustee Artiega,
Gomez.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Smith.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, just as a point of order, the roll call should have the president be the last name that's called. Is that correct, Attorney Ayers?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have 4.03, the election of the board secretary. I open up the floor for nominations.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Patty Jo Gibson King for a board secretary.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Trustee Smith as board secretary.
Are there any other nominations at this time?
I'd like to nominate Trustee Rodriguez.
Mr. President, I move to close nominations.
All right, the nominations are closed. We will cast our vote determining by last name, sorry.
Trustee Gibson King,
Gibson.
trustee Gomez,
Gibson.
trustee Smith,
Smith.
trustee Chairman Artiega.
No, actually, it's
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee Rodriguez.
Smith.
Need to order my paper. And then Chairman Artiega.
Gibson. All right, moving on, we have 4.04, the appointment of the school district treasurer.
Mr. President,
Yes. Trustee Gomez?
thank you. I think, given the condition we're in right now, I'd ask that we could table this for our next meeting, please. And if I could have the audience, please remain quiet during the board's discussion. Excuse me, but it makes it very
Audience, can we-
difficult.
can we-
There's speakers up in the ceiling, and people can't hear online. So if you'd take that into consideration, I'd appreciate it.
So one more time, Trustee Gomez.
The move is to table the position of school district treasurer.
All right, so that's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any discussions at this time?
I want to know why are we seconding it? Why are we tabling it? Even though we don't really need it because we have a CFO, so I don't even know why it's on this agenda. This treasurer this treasurer really is not a position for the board because they have no say-so. Everything that a treasurer does has to be reported to the CFO. The only thing that the treasurer would do, even if it came back on the agenda, would only have to report to the board. So that's a needless position.
Excuse me, Mr.
Mr. President.
President. If I can remind Mrs. Trustee Smith, we had a meeting. Remember the meeting that we had with Mrs.
Yes, we did, but
And
that's
then we asked
finances,
about,
that's not treasurer.
no, we asked her about the treasurer. Remember? It came across the phone?
And then
And
after I
we
spoke with,
about her, to her about the treasurer, and she said to us, she didn't mind us getting the treasurer, that's what she said in the meeting.
Mr.
Wait.
President.
we'll just table it, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. President.
Yes, Trustee Gomez.
Just as a point of order, and I ask Attorney Harris to weigh in on this, but the Indiana law requires us to nominate, and Trustee Smith is correct, it's really not necessarily a position, if you will, but am I correct that the
Yes,
Indiana
so
law requires us to have a school district attorney, right?
it does. There's always a little bit of confusion about this position of treasurer because most people think it's the board treasurer, and that's not really what this is referring to. This treasurer position is designated by state statute, and it just says someone has to be appointed by the school board to serve as a treasurer for the district, which is separate and distinct from whether it's a CFO or not. And there isn't a board treasurer. It's not for the board. It's a position, a district-wide position that's prescribed by state statute.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, is there a second at this time? There's a motion to table, is there a second?
I thought I did second, I seconded.
Oh, all right, any other discussions at this time? All right, then we will go ahead and vote for the motion to table.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because it's not even a
Yes.
position.
Yes. Next, we have 4.05, the appointment of legal counsel.
I'd like to make a motion for,
Oh, wait, give us a second here. No, I'm sorry, go ahead, Trustee Smith.
I'd like to make an appointment for Trustee Rodriguez.
Appointment of legal counsel?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about for legal counsel, or are you talking about for legislative counsel?
No, legal counsel.
We're on legal counsel.
Okay, well, okay, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I make a motion to appoint Attorney Harris as legal counsel.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion made by Trustee Rodriguez, second by Trustee Smith.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, Trustee Gomez.
Thank you. I just want to make comment here. This is a tricky situation, somewhat that we're in. Attorney Harris's contract runs through the end of June of this year, so it's really kind of a moot point, in my opinion, that it seems that by default, his contract causes him to represent us through the remainder of June 2024. If I can, I'd just like to make a secondary motion then that the appointment be valid until the June 30th, 2024.
Attorney Harris, can you give us a little bit of detail into that?
Yeah, so this approval of the appointment of legal counsel is also somewhat of a formality. It's referenced in state statute. It's separate and apart from whether or not there's a contract for legal services or not. But this is a designation that's required right after the designation of the school district treasurer is also who's authorized to serve as the district's attorney, so, or legal counsel. Just one point of information, I do believe that contract runs through the end of '25, not '24, but
Mr. President, I stand corrected. Thank you. I misread that. So I guess it's a moot point in that sense, so I rescind my motion.
Okay, so there was a motion for Attorney Harris made by Trustee Rodriguez, a second by Trustee Smith. Any other further discussion?
I just want to ask a question, if I can, Mr. President. I guess it doesn't matter if we have who legal counsel is, the name of the legal counsel, does it?
Can you further explain?
Yeah, who are we speaking of? Who is legal counsel? What's that individual's name, firm, or what company?
Terrace Law Firm?
I don't know what his firm, who is the legal counsel? That's what I'm saying.
We made a motion for Attorney Harris to remain our legal counsel.
Okay, so that's who is, but it's not on his paper.
No,
Who said that?
well, there was no reason to say that since it's up for nominations.
So this is Jewel Harris.
Yes. All right, is there any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, we can go ahead and vote.
Trustee Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. All right, moving on, we have 4.06, the appointment of the Finance Committee. I'm sorry?
They moved it.
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you. I would say that at this point in time, I know you're relatively new to the board, so I'd ask if you don't mind that we have a consideration of tabling this and the next two items until you've had a chance to feel out the board and determine who's best fitted to serve in the representative committees.
Go ahead, Trustee Smith.
No. 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 I mean, this agenda has already been posted. These positions have to be filled. You know what? This is the problem. We constantly keep tabling things that really are very important to our district and to this board. And as I told you once before, and I'll keep saying it again, the more you table, the less progress you get. And we keep tabling things. This is going on, this is what, March the 4th? So we're going to table this until when? These are things that we should discuss. And I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. I don't know what games are being played here, but evidently something's going on. And I'm not familiar with it, and neither is the board. So if that's the way you all want to do it, hey, but you can't just put things on the agenda and then just want to table it. You had all weekend to discuss this and to come up with the solution, and now we want to table the Finance Committee. Next thing you know, you want to table the Policy Committee and the Legislation Committee. I mean, so unless the hidden agenda is you all just want it all. And basically, that's what I see.
Mr. President, just as a point of order, this is typically a appointment by the board president, so it's not a vote by the board itself.
All right, thank you. So was there a motion? There was a motion made by Trustee Gomez. Yeah. Is there a second on that motion? Hearing none, the motion fails. So, Trustee Harris, am I correct that these are more of an appointment?
Yes, they are. There's no nominations that are needed for it. It's at the discretion of the board chair.
Okay. Then for the Finance Committee, I will nominate Trustee Smith and Trustee Rodriguez.
Thank you.
Trustee Harris, do we need a vote?
You don't.
Okay.
It's not even a nomination, it's just an appointment.
Okay. And then moving forward with 4.07, the appointment of the Policy Committee, I will go ahead and appoint Ms. Patty Jo Gibson and Ms. Diane Smith.
Thank you.
And then finally, the 4.08, the appointment of the Legislative Committee. Trustee Harris, is there a limit on how many people I can appoint to this committee?
There isn't a limit anywhere in your policies, so it's at your discretion.
Because I believe that it is important that we all have relationships with the legislative bodies, whether that's the state, county, city government. I would like us all to be part of the legislative committee. All right, moving on, we have the consent agenda. So we will start with 5.01, claim docket.
We did the consent agenda. New business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so new business, we will move on to 6.01, the approval of the personnel report.
Make a motion for approval.
Mr. President, as a point of order,
Oh, you have to ask the audience first. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry, I'm still learning. So 6.01, we have the approval of the personnel report. Is there any comments from the audience? Hearing no comments, is there a motion?
Make a motion for approval.
Motion made by Trustee Smith, second by Trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion? I did have one point of discussion here, and I'm a little confused because if we look at the personnel report, we have a couple coaching positions that were effective November 1st and a couple that were affected October 31st. I was just wondering if, Dr. Mitchell, if you can just speak to what the delay was on those.
Yeah, those are swimming coaches. The swim season doesn't start at the beginning of the year. And so what we have is a rolling start date for coaches. We're working on that to have all the coaches, the whole roster of coaches solidified by May. But this past year, it was as the season was coming, those coaches were put in place.
Okay. All right, and then those were my only questions or of concerns.
Mr. President,
Yes, Trustee Gomez?
by the same token, page 3, a number of these positions actually began January of 2024, and we're just now getting them in March. One of them actually expired, or some have actually expired March 1st.
Yes, I'll just address that. If you recall, we had a lot of instability with the board meeting and various things like that. And so with that instability, it was kind of difficult to put people in place. And although some of these things start effective date 1/30, we weren't able to start Saturday school until sometime in February. So although the grant says you have to start on this date, we weren't able to activate that until later. But we still have to go with the dates that's aligned with the funding that we were using.
So am I hearing you correctly then, the positions do not start until after tonight's meeting?
No. All of these positions, again, first you had to say that it was okay for Saturday school, so that was
Right.
done.
Right.
And then we had a lot of issues with getting this moved to the board for you all to even vote on it to see it. So once we were able to get some type of stability, then we went ahead and we started Saturday school, and now these are coming forth before you, so these people, the teachers can be compensated. Again, that Saturday school, we rolled that date, we pushed that date ahead a couple of times. We wanted it to start early in January. We didn't get started until February. There's after school, but we have some Saturday school on here too. So Saturday school, after school, so there's various, I'm going to say, supportive activities here. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that, thank you. And the other question I had was regarding items 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Those positions, they're identified as the rate of pay is the hourly rate. And I guess my question is, are these employees not eligible for overtime pay?
No, these are teachers, and the teachers have different, wait a minute. Security. Oh, security.
positions.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, what it says is that, no, they're eligible for a lot of things, but the way that grant was written in ESSER, it says the hourly rate, not all security get paid the same thing. So they all start at different times, and based on the time that they started, how long they've been here, the position that they carry in security, they're going to have a different rate of pay.
I understand that. My question is, these seem to be the potential of having overtime, and I'm bringing this up because some security people have asked me about, their pay differential is not quite the same as others who are earning, the 40 hours plus rate.
No, because the security isn't a full-time position, so they don't work 40 hours.
I understand that, but we're pushing them into hours beyond that.
No,
For
this is
example-
part of a grant, so this will be, they can choose to do the work or not do the work. But the way that we operate the district is that if we have teachers and students in the building, we must have security. So we can either go with our own security, or we can hire outside security. But if we hire outside security, and we know that people in our district need those hours, then we're setting ourselves up to have a district we're decreasing employee morale. We're saying that they're not needed when we're saying that they're not valuable. So I would much rather say that we need you, we want you, we have extra work, and we would like to offer this to you.
There's no disagreement on my end with that, Dr. Mitchell. I'm just asking a question about overtime. And for example, here, Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are identified as the dates for these individuals, but it does not have the amount of hours that these people will be working. So if we could have a little bit more clarity in the future about, how this works if they do reach their 40-hour limit, I think that'd be more helpful to the board. That was my only question. I'm not suggesting outsourcing the positions. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we will begin the roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. All right, moving on, we are at 6.02, the approval of claim docket. Is there any audience comments at this time? Seeing that there's no audience comments, is there a motion for 6.02, the approval of the claim docket?
I'm just wondering. Mr. President, I move for approval.
I'll second that.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, second by trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I want to know this claim number 68877. Oh, what is this here? Oh, I'm sorry, page 15. Six.
page?
8877.
15. I'm sorry, couldn't hear the claim number again?
68877, page 15.
It's right on the top.
Service Center.
Yeah, about some tuition.
Yeah. All right, yeah, this is coming out of Title IV. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like that's going to our service center. Central Indiana ED, I think that's our service center. Tuition fund for, I will get this back to you, but I believe that's going to our service center, and that's being paid out of Title IV funds. That Title IV funds is, yeah, so I will get that information to you exactly what entity it went for, but that appears to be going to a service center. Yeah. And,
Okay,
Dr. Mitchell, I mean,
Go ahead, trustee Smith.
would that be part of the tuition?
yeah, we're part of the Northwest Indiana Educational Service Center, and there are certain fees that we pay them
Right.
throughout the year for services that they provide.
Right.
I'm not sure what service this was, but this is going, it looks like it's going to our service center. I'm just not sure exactly what it's going to,
Okay.
what bill it's going to pay. I know that we had dues due, but this doesn't appear to be dues. It's some training that someone must have gone to. And I imagine that training was probably, I'm not exactly sure who exactly went to that training at the service center. Yeah. Or it could have been training for the district. I'm not sure, but I'll get that for you. I'll get that back to you all.
Thank you.
Was there any other discussion? If you would like to make a motion, that motion would have to be made. Would the board feel more at ease if we called for Dr. Mitchell? Can you figure this out in like 10 minutes? Or maybe?
Can't figure it
No?
out. I don't have that documentation in front of me.
Okay.
That would be, our business department would have to do that. But I'll tell you this, the Northwest Indiana Educational Service Center is a consortium of all of the school districts in Northwest Indiana that agrees to pay a fee. That's roughly 90% of the school districts that go from Newton County over to St. Joe County and down to Jasper County, Jasper and Stark County. So it's roughly about 11 counties that's a part of this. Every month, I go to a meeting. I believe that sometime, no, you don't, you go to the Board of Health meetings. But every month, I go to a meeting with the Educational Service Center, and they do things like help us with procurement, they help with food service, they help with training and development, they help with procuring various things. And also, we have legislative sessions that also take place there, as well as policy sessions where we work on things for all of Northwest Indiana. And they bill us based on the level of participation and what activities are coming up. I just don't know what activity that's assigned to, but I do know it's tuition, so it had to do something with professional development. I'm not sure, we don't send individuals there for professional development. We send cohorts of teachers, administrators, staff there for professional development. I just don't know who went.
Yeah, no, I just for the record, I believe you, and I know that you did your homework as you made this, as you made this document. So is there any further discussion at this time?
Mr. President? if there's
Yes,
any-
trustee Gomez.
Thank you, I'm sorry, thank you. If there's any comfort, I do know that this obviously is a service that had been provided previously, so we obviously owe this amount. However, I also understand Trustee Gibson King's position, and if she's unsure, the other option is to remove this from this agenda and to move it to the next agenda once we have more information from Dr. Mitchell.
But
Is there any further discussion at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote on the claim docket 6.02. By roll call vote.
Trustee Gibson King,
I'm going to vote on everything except
she
this
say?
item here.
You will need to make a motion.
Motion then to vote on everything but this item here.
Trustee Harris?
Mr. President,
Yes.
there's already a motion and a second on the floor, and you've called the question. So now it's just voting for the claim docket as is.
So so you have three options.
So I'll vote no for it. Thank you.
that's a yes.
no.
Trustee Gomez,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Chairman Archiega.
Yes. Moving on, we have 6.03, approval of Senator Dalton Financial Consultant Annual Service Agreement.
Yes,
Well, I'm sorry. Before we move on, is there any audience comments? Hearing no audience comments, Dr. Mitchell?
yes, Senator Dalton is our, their advisors. Our CFO uses them quite a bit, especially when it comes time for bond issue, anytime that we have financial matters that's at hand. They serve as a consultant as well as for those services. This is, their contract has never exceeded $15,000, although, and that's because they really just serve as an advisory capacity. And about maybe twice a year, they come and make a presentation to us and let us know what our budget is, our estimated budget. Then they come back and let us know what the final budget is and provide any clarity that we need and answer any questions that we may have, just to make sure that we're governing ourselves and being a good steward of our funds and making sure that we have accurate data as we go into not only starting the school year with a balanced budget, but also making sure as we go into negotiating of salaries and things like that, that we're negotiating with real numbers. So that's what the Sender Group does. The owner of the Sender Group, Steve Dalton, is the one who comes to provide those services. So it's not a subordinate, it's the guy who actually runs the company that comes and services our district.
Thank you for that. Is there a motion for 6.03?
Mr. President, as a point of order, we still have to have audience input on our motions.
I believe I already asked the
I
audience.
apologize then. I'd
No,
like to
that's
ask
good.
then.
We got to make sure we're doing this right.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that, this group has provided exceptional service to us, and I'm in favor of them continuing. One of my concerns was the 15K annually.
Before we, I'm sorry, Trustee Gomez,
I'm-
before we,
I'm getting to my point.
Okay.
Excuse me. And so I would like to ask that we review our policy, which is 6320, which calls for contracts to be given an RFP. So we passed that policy unanimously last year. The policy again calls for any contracts to be bid essentially through an RFP.
I do understand that, but I also believe that there was a certain amount that contract had to be before it went for RFP. Otherwise, we're going to do RFPs for a case of water. I mean, so at some point, we have to make sure that we're not wasting resources going for RFP that puts time. All these things require a different type of resource to make happen. Don't mind doing that. I'm just saying, let's just be cognizant of all of the things that move when we make a move like this. And for $15,000, do you really want to do an RFP?
Mr. President, I just want to make a point of order here that The board unanimously approved that, and there is no stipulation on that. It does, matter of fact, I believe I have it here. All contracts or service, including those services traditionally considered to be professional services, which this is exempt from certain procurement requirements, shall be procured via a request for proposal, which complies with the appropriate state and/or federal statutes and regulations. I have no issues with this group. I'm just trying to follow our policy. That's how this board operates. And again, we unanimously approve this with a lot of work that was put into the policy committee and Attorney Harris's law firm.
Attorney Harris, can you elaborate on the policy and?
So I think the intention of the policy committee was to create the most competitive environment possible to ensure getting the best rates for all goods and services that are provided to the district. And this wouldn't be an exception to that either. This would be something that, while obviously there's time that would have to be devoted to doing this, and there's some question as to whether or not it's worth doing, the point is that is the current policy. And it will, in the end, ensure that the pricing is competitive, and that's ultimately the reason for either an RFP, RFQ, or actual public bidding. So that is what it is.
And Mr. President, just as a point of order, this is not about ordering bottles of water. That would not be a professional service.
So Trustee, Attorney Harris, just to reiterate, we're good to go ahead if there is a motion that's made?
You're good to go forward with the vote as it is, but I think the point of order that Trustee Gomez is making is that this is something that should be reviewed to determine whether or not it complies with the procurement policy. I think that's his only point.
Okay.
And if that's the case, whoever made the motion should consider whether or not they want to.
I don't believe there was a motion made.
There's no motion. I'd like to move to table
Okay.
this so we can then provide a RFQ, RFP to the, or put it out there so that we can have a group or other groups, or maybe no one other than Cinder and Dalton. I just want to make sure that we're complying with the policies that we've established. That's how the school board operates. So the motion is to table this.
All right, a motion made to table 6.03 by Trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
I'll second it, but I want to ask a question. This was policy.
Well, if you second it, then we can open it up for discussion.
Okay, I'll second it.
Or,
Second the table.
okay, second to table. All right, so motion made by Trustee Gomez, second by Trustee Gibson King. Is there any discussions?
I only have one discussion with regards to 6.03. We're not aware of any quotes that has been RFP'd or RFQ'd for this particular contract.
No, Steve Dalton has been providing this service for the district and for other school districts, other municipalities in Northwest Indiana for ever. This was one that our CFO highly recommended. She put it on here for a vote because, again, to get familiar with someone's financials takes a long time, especially when you're dealing with school finances. That's not. And again, school finance is very complicated. It's very tedious, and putting it out there, yeah, we probably get a lower bid, but are you going to get the quality of service? And sometimes you just have to go with what you know is right and sound. And I don't mind following policies. I follow policies to the T, but at the same time, we're talking about resources that the district already is stretched on. And when you say it through an RFP, that takes days of time of people and weeks of time to make it happen. But it takes days, not hours, a couple of hours for somebody to review. It takes hours of team review that a district that's already operating on fumes. We don't have all the positions in the district filled right now.
So can I?
Yeah,
So
Trustee.
I'm just saying that.
Trustee,
Go ahead.
thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes, and I just wanted to add real quickly to that. and only because our CFO isn't here today. She has brought this contract up before this board many times. And she felt the sense of urgency as far as having, and comfort of having this particular contract, whether it may be a sole source, or maybe whether she actually went out for bid, that part I don't know. But I feel that, if this is something that the CFO feels very comfortable with, and trusting our decision with this, I would like for it to be moved today.
Mr. President?
Yes,
If I could,
Attorney Harris.
just to comment on kind of where we are with this. I don't think there's anything that would prevent the CFO from continuing to do work with Senator Dalton in the interim. I also think there's a little confusion in the terminology in terms of a request for proposal. I think in situations like this, and maybe we should look at the policy to make sure it's perfectly clear, I think a request for qualifications would probably be more appropriate than a proposal, because you're not really proposing anything other than to provide your services to the district, right? So I think the qualifications is what they would send, and that's a bio of the financial and people that work there, et cetera. And that review process would look a lot different than the process of reviewing actual proposals to do projects. So really, I think all we're talking about with this policy is that you'd post it on the website, people would see it, respond to it by sending in their bio, their information, and a recommendation is made, just like it's being made now, to approve Senator or whoever else they want to approve. I think it's just adding that other step of, hey, other people got an opportunity to show that they're qualified to do the work. In this instance, you may not make a change, and I agree. I've worked with them here and in several other communities. I think they're great, and I don't really think that's the point that's being made tonight. It's just a matter of the policy says allow that window for people to submit their qualifications, and that's it.
Mr.
But I get Dr. Mitchell's point about the time that's involved, but,
I have a question. Does the policy say request for proposal or request for qualifications?
well, that's my point. I think we
So
should take
then it
another
should-
look at that.
Then the policy should state request for proposal and/or qualification. That way, you have some leniency. But if it just says request for proposal, that's an entirely different process than request for qualification.
Right, that's what I'm explaining, and I think we should take a look at, for professional services, looking at an RFQ as opposed to an RFP. So I think the issue is, it is something that's worth looking at, but right now, the policy is what it is.
All right, Trustee Gomez.
Yes, if I may add, I don't believe there's any sense of urgency to this, as this document is dated November 6, 2023.
All right, just my final thoughts, oh my gosh, this, it's a lot. And I think that, we've heard it all through the community, we've heard it on this board, we got to do what's right for the children, and I think that, that we got to do what's right for the children, and this for the children, I think trumps some of the policy debates that we're having, even though they're very important. And I think, like Attorney Harris said, I think we should go back into the policies and kind of clean that up so that we don't have this type of disagreement again, and so that it's very, very clear of what our actual policies is. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end discussion, and we're going to vote on the tabling of this. We're going to vote on the tabling of 6.03. Ms. Bingham, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Trustee Rodriguez?
Nope.
Chairman Archiega?
No. So going back with 6.03, we have the approval of Senator Dalton Financial Consultant Annual Service Agreement. We asked for audience comments already. There was none. Now we go ahead, and is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez, second by Trustee Rodriguez. Is there any discussions?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. This is not educationally based, so I don't have the same concern about, our students not being serviced. This is basically an agreement that we've done annually to have them oversee our finances. And that does not directly impact the classroom. So I am in favor of them as they stated from the very beginning. Senator Dalton, exceptional group. Matter of fact, Carl Sanders, the president of the Valpo School Board. So I really respect both these gentlemen and the firm that they have and the services they provided.
All right. Is there a motion?
There was already a motion.
Okay. Oh, yeah, second, okay. Sorry. My question was, is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we can go ahead with the roll call vote, Ms. Bigum.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. Moving forward, we have 6.04, the approval to accept the Title IV grants. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, the Title IV grant, we received a total amount of $303,201.26 for student support and academic enrichment to cover the areas in well-rounded educational opportunities, social emotional support, and effective technology integration. A portion of the funds in the amount of $10,250.61 will go to St. Stan's. Many of our title grants, just for your information, Board Chair, many of the title grants that we get, we do have LEAs that's a part of that, like St. Stan's. Sometimes they go to charter schools that we have to give a portion to. This one, we have to give a portion to St. Stan's. Okay. But this grant was awarded to us, and this is for the acceptance of the funds into the school district of East Chicago.
Is there audience comments? Can you please step up to the mic? Thank you.
Cytheria Artist, East Chicago. I have a question where it says well-round educational opportunities. Some of the money can be used for that. Can you explain what you mean when you said well-round? And also, how long do you have until you use all the funds?
This grant period goes until, I believe, December 2024, we have to use it. But the monies have to be encumbered by September 2024. So when it says well-rounded educational opportunities, that's pretty much the reason that we use generic language like that is to make sure that we can do really creative and innovative things. If we get really specific, then we have to do it just for that. By saying well-rounded, that's pretty much educational activities that will that we can use to support and enrich and enhance a student experience. So that can be a lot of different things, Ms. Artis. It's not anything that we're going to itemize, but when the opportunity presents itself, then we have the latitude to reach out to the state and say, can we use it for this? If we say that this is to purchase desks, then we only can purchase desks with it. So the whole idea, when you write grants, when you can take a liberty to go broad, then use that broad paintbrush so that you can do some of the things that your district really needs.
Are there any other audience comments? Seeing none, is there a motion for 6.04 approval to accept the Title IV grant?
Mr. President, I make a motion?
Motion made by Trustee Rodriguez. Second by Trustee Smith. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can go ahead with the roll call. Ms. Bigum.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. Moving forward, we have 6.05, the approval of the contractual services for the tutoring services for St. Stanislaus.
Yes, again, as I said, that many times the school city of East Chicago being the lead LEA, we're serving as a pass-through organization for St. Stan's, again, in this case, for their tutoring services that they want to contract with Sylvan Learning.
this is to a pay rate not to exceed $25,000. Again, this is solely a pass-through.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Is there any audience comments at this time? Oh, okay.
Okay, this is Cytherea Artis again. I just wanted to know, I see the date down here, Wednesday through Friday from 3:30 to 4:30. Have that started? Have it started yet, the program?
That's at a different school. That's at St. Stan's. That's not our schools. This is St. Stan's. So this is just a pass-through. The dollars come into our district, and when they get ready to use them, they contact us, and we put it on the board to have it ratified so the dollars can be moved from our school district to their school.
All right. Are there any other audience comments? All right. Do I hear a motion for 6.05?
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept, to approve 6.05.
A motion made by Trustee Rodriguez,
Second.
second by Trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can go ahead with the roll call vote. Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. Moving on, we have 6.06, the approval of the after-school tutoring for St. Casimir for Dina Bajikowski.
Again, School City of East Chicago serves as the lead LEA for the area, and St. Casimir is one of our pastor organizations, and this is again for them using their Title I dollars for a tutor. Again, this is just their formal process that they have to do for dollars to move from the School City of East Chicago to St. Casimir.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Is there any audience comments at this time? Hearing none, hearing none, is there a motion for the approval of 6.06?
So,
Motion made by Trustee Smith, second by Trustee Gomez. Is there any discussion? Yeah, Trustee Smith. No, you're good.
That this particular program service all of our students from K through 8 throughout East Chicago. Am I correct, Dr. Mitchell?
No, this is only for St. Casimir students. This is not us.
But right here it says, okay.
Deadline on us.
I'm sorry.
Yes, we did.
What'd she say?
Uh,
Okay, fine. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
Maybe I misread it.
Is there any further discussion at this time? Hearing no discussion, we can go ahead with the roll call vote. Ms. Bigum?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. Moving on, we have 6.07, the approval of contract for professional services, labor relations attorney Robert Cantrell.
Yes, due to the fact that we have a number of labor issues within the Human Resource Department, also we have 7 collective bargaining units here in the school district. It necessitates the need for a labor attorney. At this time, we're recommending Attorney Office Cantrell, PC, to be the labor attorney for the school district of East Chicago.
Thank you. At this time, is there any comments from the audience? Yep.
Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
John Cantrell, 7233 Indianapolis Boulevard in Hammond. I'm here today speaking to you and asking you for your support and your vote for a contract for Cantrell and Cantrell attorneys at law. I am a product of the Chicago Public Schools. I am back here and I feel honored to ask you for your support. One of the things I did as an attorney is I targeted this contract because I really wanted it. I know so many people in the East Chicago Public Schools. My parents were teachers here. My mom's sister, my godmother were all teachers here. I had somebody teaching in the East Chicago Public Schools in my immediate family since the 40s up until 2009. My mom's sister retired. She was a special ed teacher. at Franklin School, still lives in the harbor. Nice girls, don't like to move out of the harbor. I own a business here in East Chicago. And I was so surprised when this board gave me the opportunity to really come back and represent the district in the labor relations amongst all the unions. What I do, this is my 24th year as an attorney. I lived in East Chicago till I was 26. Now I live in Hammond. My wife is my law partner, and I was lucky enough to marry a human relations attorney. After law school, she went back to DePaul and got a certification in human resources. So this contract to me is perfect for me and my law firm. My paralegal, I honestly cherry-picked her from the paraprofessionals in East Chicago. She worked, after she got out of high school, she was a paraprofessional, and I hired her to come work in my office after she did 5 years in this school. She was a bilingual paraprofessional. Another nice girl from the harbor. All of these things make me really qualified to have this job, but I was so surprised to walk in every meeting with the unions, and I knew at least one person on all the executive boards for all 7 unions. I played sports here, I went to school here, and that's how East Chicago is. People don't want to leave here, they're still here, and I want to be back here. I feel real connected to the school city, and I think I was embraced in the East Chicago Public Schools back when I decided to help Angel Garcia keep his eligibility back in '07. And so I took my parents' van, and I took Principal Adel and 2 teachers and Angel Garcia. We went down and we won. We got his eligibility back. And then the kids and all the team did the hard part, and they won the state championship. It was, the IHSA fights so hard, they filed an appeal saying that the venue should be changed to Marion County. There's a published opinion on it. After the case was over, they tried to get Angel, a high school student, to pay for their fees. 15 months after EC Central won the state championship, we were still litigating that case. We didn't leave him behind because I'm a loyal human. We spent a lot of our own money, me and 2 other lawyers, both from EC. We volunteered our time and spent a lot of money. And I had Coach Parks, Coach Brown, and Coach Williams, and Coach Turgovich asked me to jump on board to try to get this done. And after I got done, I had to pay for it, but I have a state ring from '07. I feel part of this community, and I want to stay a part of it, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Any other audience comments at this time? All right, hearing none, do I hear a motion for 6.07?
Mr. President, make a motion to approve item 6.07.
A motion made by Trustee Rodriguez. I'll go ahead and make the second. Second made by Trustee Arteaga. Is there any discussion at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Trustee Gomez.
I'm going to go back to policy 6320, and this one is a little bit different than the Sender and Dalton contract. So I'm going to make a secondary motion to table this to provide an opportunity for a bid for this position.
All right, so there's a motion for a secondary motion to table 6.07. Trustee Harris, can you just elaborate on this one just a little bit?
So when there's a secondary motion made, it kind of trumps the original motion that's on the floor. So the question is, if there's a secondary motion, is there a second for it? You take the vote on the secondary motion, and then that'll determine what happens next.
Okay. And is there a second for this secondary motion?
I'll second it.
All right, second, so the secondary motion was made by Trustee Gomez, the second by Trustee Gibson King. Is there any discussions?
Mr. President, just as a point of order, when a motion's made to table, I believe we go straight to a vote. Is that correct, Attorney Harris?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Oh, then I guess we will go ahead and with the roll call vote. Sorry, go ahead, Ms. Begum.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
No.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes. All right, moving on to 6.08, we have the approval of board calendar second and fourth Tuesday of the month. It's pretty self-explanatory, so is there any audience comments at this time? Hearing no comments, is there a motion for 6.08?
Mr. President, make a motion to approve item 6.08.
A motion made by Trustee Rodriguez,
Second.
second by Trustee Smith. Is there any discussions?
I'm glad. Oh,
Go ahead, Trustee Smith.
yes. I'd like to say thank you because we needed to change that date because we have the same people that are interested in our school board. They're also interested in our council meetings, and that was a conflict of interest. So thank you, Mr. President, for bringing that to the table because we didn't want to violate any open door laws with the conflict of the time of the council and the school board. So with the changing of the dates, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Are there any other discussion points at this time? Hearing no discussion, we can go ahead and continue our roll call, or sorry, we can go ahead and make our roll calls.
Gibson King?
No.
Trustee Gomez?
No.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on, we have interim superintendent reports. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, again, I want to thank the community for, again, allowing me to sit in this seat. It does my heart really good when we're able to do really great things with our district and move the district forward in support of our children and our parents and just the community in general. We try to walk in lockstep together and not be divisive. And so we've been doing that and just trying to build unity wherever we can. I just want to just reach out and just let everyone know that I'm extremely proud of not only our athletes in the district, but also just a couple of weeks ago, we inducted one of the largest honor society class in Central's history. You know, I think that's a testimony to the great things that's happening in this district. You know, once we get settled on leadership, because I believe this taught by my mentor, John Maxwell. I was the founder of John Maxwell's leadership team, and he says that everything rises and falls with leadership. And I truly believe that. That everything rises and falls with leadership, and when you have unstable leadership, then you're going to have an unstable skipper. No, that's pun intended, right? You have an unstable ship. An unstable ship can't do a whole lot. You're teetering on disaster. Let's stabilize this district with leadership, with great leadership, so that we can go and rise to higher places. Again, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to sit in this seat to serve you. And I want to thank the board for making the appointments, to make this happen. And I would like to sit here longer, for as long as we can, until we make the changes that we need to make this the same district, similar to the district, can't be the same district, but this is the same district that I went to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, until I lost my parents, and then I had to go somewhere else and became a ward of the state. But my family stayed here, which meant that I stayed here. And I've always given back to this community. This community has always given me so much, and I would like to continue to do that. So I just want to say thank you again.
Moving on, we have trustee remarks. Trustee Gibson King, I believe you're first.
No, none at this time, thank you.
Trustee Smith? Trustee Smith? Oh, okay, we'll go ahead with Trustee Gomez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a number of items here. I just want to go through them quickly, though. Obviously, congratulations to the boys' basketball team on their victory Saturday. Same with Bishop Noah. I know they have kids from East Chicago on their team, so great win for both teams, and best of luck to them on Saturday of this coming week. Again, Miss Bishop is here, and congratulations on her granddaughter for being named Athlete of the Week by the Times. Another great achievement for that young lady. Also, over the weekend, Saturday, Kenny Lofton was inducted into the University of Arizona. Excuse me. Thank you. I'm getting there. Thank you. With the Ring of Honors, I can barely read my own writing. Thank you. But I appreciate it, Mr. Gordon. So congratulations to him. If we could send him a letter of congratulations from the board with our signatures on it, I'd really appreciate that. And then I also wanted to make a sad announcement that Lighthouse lost one of their teachers, as many of us know, Mr. Craig Jones from Gary. And, I wanted to make comment, he may not be one of our teachers here in the public schools, but he teaches East Chicago kids, taught East Chicago kids. And so I bring that up that, we talked about social emotional learning and the impact of individuals as they have loss in their life. My sympathies to not only his family, but the students that are going through that loss. I can't imagine as a young student having that kind of loss. I also attended the Black History program, and I met with Mr. Pete Smith, who's working with the United Way right now. And I know he wants to partner with us, so we've arranged a meeting to get some more input from him and the United Way. And then finally, just a couple notes here. As Dr. Mitchell mentioned, National Honor Society, great program that Trustee Gibson King and I attended. We also attended the parent luncheon at Kerry Gosh, and it was so cute to watch the little kids come in and try to find their parents who were already seated. And it was a really cute program. Congratulations, Principal Ransford just does an outstanding job over there. Finally, I know Dr. Mitchell mentioned the Park Department. Marino Solorio is the director there, so we might want to get in touch with him so we can have him be a little more actively involved in our participation with the school district. That concludes my remarks.
Trustee Smith.
I really don't have any much to say today, but I just want to say we had a very successful Black History Month. I'm sorry it's only the shortest month in the year, but I was able to attend Washington Elementary School, and I must say that the music teacher over there every year has a very, very beautiful program, and it's good to see parents come out at 12 o'clock to support them. They sang, and they played instruments, and it wasn't just about Black History Month. It was about togetherness, and it just did my heart good just to see that we were embracing not just African Americans, but Black and brown kids together. And they enjoyed it, and the parents enjoyed it. So I'm just letting you know, I really appreciate that. And thank you all for inviting me from Washington High School. But it was a very good program. It was about diversity, love, and togetherness.
Thank you. Trustee Rodriguez.
Just like, again, just to piggyback off what Trustee Gomez stated, I'd like to also congratulate our senior basketball Cardinals for winning the 4A sectionals this past Saturday. And, I basically want to urge each and every one of you who were there, just keep posting your pictures on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, it's really blowing up. When I'm on Facebook, almost every other page has either one of the students from that game or the whole team together. So just keep posting your pictures on Twitter and Facebook, and let's keep that Cardinal alive. as long as we can. The regional championship is March 9th, which will be in Michigan City at 4 o'clock. And hopefully we can get an opportunity to get a ticket, right? Oh, 2 fan buses will be there. Great. Lastly, I do want to piggyback off one of the service contracts that was tabled today. I hopefully would like to see it back on the next agenda item. After reviewing policy 6320, that basically states more on purchasing laws and grants and other things like that, federal grants and funds. So it really doesn't pertain to what this individual has done as a labor attorney. So I will hopefully like to see that back on the next agenda. That's the end of my remarks.
I would also like to congratulate the basketball team, Coach Ala, and his boys did a remarkable job, not only on Saturday's game, but throughout the whole 3 games. I give kudos to a lot of these kids because it is tough to play, remind me, Wednesday night, Friday night, and then Saturday night. And then on top, the quarter 3 is kind of coming to an end. So I just want to congratulate the kids just on balancing everything. Speaking of kids, I had an opportunity to visit Lincoln Elementary this afternoon or this morning, and I was able to visit a special ed class where I was able to read a story to them for part of their week-long celebration of reading across America. I just want to give kudos to the people at Lincoln, to Principal Gonzalez and her amazing staff, teachers. Everybody was so nice. It's really nice to go into a building and seeing smiling faces. So I really appreciate that. Just a couple other things. The NHS Society, I want to give kudos to those students. Like Dr. Mitchell said, this was the largest inductee class, and I don't know exactly the numbers, but I mean, the whole stage was filled with past inductees and current inductees. It was just really nice to see. Finally, I want to thank one of our partners, the East Chicago Library, for hosting the Black Opulence night last week. It was, I think, a really huge success. There was a lot of people from the community. When I think about events, I think of 2 things, music and entertainment and food. And they knocked it out of the park with great music, amazing entertainment. And the entertainment was from children in our community, children from our surrounding community. It was wonderful. And then, of course, the food. I should have got up for seconds. It was a really nice event, a really nice time. And then finally, Dr. Mitchell, am I correct? Is Wednesday SAT day? I think it might be this week. There might be taking SATs.
Yeah. On Wednesday is SAT. I'm getting a head nod from Dr. Yanders and Tammy Pohl and Ms. Randolph, yes.
All right, so just with SAT, I mean, I just want to wish the best of luck to those juniors, and I just want to share some advice, which my students don't even listen to my advice, but, get some sleep, have a good breakfast, and come ready to give it your best. And that concludes my remarks. With that being said, the last thing on our agenda is public forum. So Trustee Harris, oh my gosh, Attorney Harris, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. We do have people that signed up, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. You have 3 minutes. When you step to the podium, please state your name and your address. Be respectful to the audience, the board, and the staff that's here, and please refrain from discussing any personnel matters. Thank you.
Mr. President, and Ms. Randolph, if I could, I overlooked Malin Mobley. Would you mind going first? And Ms. Randolph, would that be okay? Okay, you know what? You go first then. We'll let her, you're next, though. Okay, you got it. I won't forget you. Yeah.
Good evening. Congratulations to our new board officers. I'd like to, first of all, extend my congratulations to our sectional champs. And what's exciting for me is the number of our athletes that are on target academically. That's very important. And I also agree with those of you who talked about the Black History programs. Outstanding. It just does your heart good to go and see our babies perform the way they do. So I want to salute the staff and all the support people that help the Black History programs. And along testing guidelines as well as SAT, this is the week, if I'm correct, of our third grade test. And if you've been keeping up with the legislators in terms of what they're talking about with this third grade test, there's some serious, serious situations. And also, we must test our second graders as well. So my cry tonight is to say to the parents, make sure our babies are in bed and, you know, turn off all that video stuff and get a good night's rest, have a good breakfast, because second and third graders will be tested. And I believe it starts in East Chicago tomorrow morning. Dr. Mitchell, thank you for your presentation, and especially the emphasis on what's happening with our students with social and emotional needs. They've accelerated since COVID, and as Dr. Yander said, we had issues already. And so we really must pay close attention. So I want to thank you guys, those who voted for the extra psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, behavior interventionists, academic interventionists. We need them all. In fact, we need a few more, because our children have some needs. And I'll just leave you with this example. I've never seen this many preschoolers referred for issues. Preschool, ages 3 to 5, there's something going on. Our children are traumatized, and a lot of the trauma, in my professional opinion, I'm just a little old lady, is that they're spending so much time with devices that their communication skills are lacking, their academic skills. They're coming to preschool and not know anything. If you have the device, I urge parents, put them on educational programs so that they can come to the table with more. But I just wanted you all to understand the seriousness of it has increased at all levels. They're younger, and the trauma issues are more intensive. Thank you.
Mr. Mobley. Melvin, your turn.
Melvin Mobley, 3625 Pulaski Street. The only thing I wanted to say was, well, first, in regards to Mr. Cantrell, who was up here a few minutes ago, I really, I was trying to figure out why was that being tabled after hearing what all the young men had achieved and provided for the community of East Chicago. It should have been a vote immediately on it. I mean, but you guys, you know, you brought up the table and stuff, so I guess it'll take place. I think the young man is put in overtime doing things that some of it you can say went out of his way, but they got it done. In regards to Angel Garcia, that was just an example under certain circumstances, but they got it done. And I wish Mr. Cantrell we would come to a conclusion that he would be the labor lawyer for the school district. I just think I think he qualifies for that position. He's already explained it, but you guys table it, so once you table it and go over it again, he'll be the legal representative. Also, I'm not going to be long. Also, I just wanted to bring up a thing about Block Junior High School. I've had 7 or 8 people come up to me within the last month. A couple of them were, I don't want to say they were crying, they were parents. And they were a little emotional because their children haven't been able to swim at Block. The swimming pool has been out for about 3 years. Now, I just want to say there are some of the board members just got here. But it shouldn't take 3 years to fix a swimming pool at a junior high when we just put $1 million into a high school. So hopefully, you only got 3 more months left in the school year. Hopefully, that can be addressed this summer, and when the kids go back to school, the swimming pool will be ready to go for them. Thank you.
Next individual is John Cantrell.
John Cantrell, 7233 Indianapolis Boulevard. I just wanted to add one more thing. I'm always constantly having to sell myself as an attorney. I'm used to it. That's normal. I don't take any issue with that. But I was given a 1-year contract last year. It expired at the first of this year. The board right now doesn't have a labor relations attorney. I'm required and don't have permission to take any action on behalf of the school city right now. I'm not under contract, and I've been told not to do it. We need to get back rolling and finish a bunch of the things that we started last year. There is arbitration set up. 3 of the unions are represented by a union in Chicago. They grieve everything. This job entails if somebody gets a promotion, somebody gets a demotion, somebody's going to get terminated, there are hearings within the union during their grievances and the grievance process. This is not just contractual negotiations. This is human resources, and it's all abiding by the contract, but it's also trying to get people to trust me, trying to get people to accept what I'm trying to sell them. We lost so much money because of a decreased enrollment. And to be honest with you, Dr. Mitchell is really good at this game, Ms. Simmons is really good at this game, and the unions, they battle hard, and all you have to do is bring people together. And I'm constantly trying to sell myself based on previous trials, previous results. Look at what happened in Hammond. You have threatened strikes, walkouts. They're calling for people to be fired and resigned. And we had 100% of all the teachers in this district vote for this contract. You compare apples and oranges, we're killing it here because this is a close-knit community that likes insiders and doesn't trust outsiders. I feel like I'm an insider and I belong here. I'm asking you, next time around, before this contract comes before you, I'm asking you for your vote for me and my firm. The results speak for themselves. I've done a good job, and I'm asking you for more years. Thank you.
Helen Steinbeck. Oh, she's gone, I'm sorry. Mercedes Taylor.
Hi, good evening. Mercedes Taylor, 4320 Parish Avenue. First, I want to start with Dr. Mitchell, awesome presentation. The vision is clear. I'm excited for where the district is heading, but I'm even more impressed on all you've accomplished in the short amount of time you've been here, so congratulations. I'm going to make a statement without taking from the spotlight of our sectional champs, and that is when you manipulate a situation to favor your desired outcomes, that's not God's plan, that is witchcraft. So just take note of that. But on a much more positive note, what an amazing time to be a Cardinal. To our boys, I pray that the Lord will continue to strengthen them with strength, perseverance, and to carry them and carry this Cardinal legacy forward. Their dedication and hard work has reignited our school spirit, and for that, I am immensely proud and grateful. So great job to all the coaches and all the staff. I mean, this is, again, it's just been an amazing, amazing time, and I'm excited for Saturday. But I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge the exceptional leadership demonstrated by our athletic director, Graylin Gordon. I'm a very observant person, and what I witnessed these past several games was an athletic director with a blend of organizational and interpersonal skills. He had a strong passion for the game. There were some intense moments that occurred, and I watched, yet he remained under pressure. He remained calm under pressure without taking from the game or the energy amongst the staff. He was interacting with the people, maintaining order, and all while having fun. He was having a blast. So indeed, our school district has some amazing staff members who exemplify excellence and pride in all that they do. It was all hands on deck, and it was executed with pride and excellence. Congratulations. However, there was a moment during our victory celebration on the court where I had looked over to the corner of the gym and I noticed one of our seniors, Mr. James Newsom, just observing the crowd going crazy. And I was instantly reminded of how many times he has come up here before you all pleading in tears, asking to get an athletic trainer on board. I know he was happy for his Cardinal brothers, but I couldn't help but to put myself in his shoes for that brief moment and think how he fought and made it to regionals and did not let you all as a school board rob him of his senior year like he has been pleading. But like he stated, what about the ones that are being left behind right now? So I urge the board to recognize the importance of prioritizing this initiative and take a decisive action to ensure that an athletic trainer becomes a reality within our school district. Our students deserve nothing less. Sectionals have the power to catapult education and careers beyond high school. So as you can see, sectionals are kind of a big deal. We are Cardinals, we fly high. Thank you.
Stacy Winfield.
Stacy Winfield, 4106 Dearborn Street. To the school board, Dr. Marlon Mitchell, awesome job. President, I'm glad you took heed. He came before you and he showed you what he's all about. Congratulations to our Cardinals. I'm not a Cardinal, was not a Cardinal. I was a senator, but I had, my sister was a Cardinal and all of my children were Cardinals. So I'm always there in support. But I first have to give thanks to Coach Allah. I give thanks to God because without him, them kids wouldn't have made it where they were. And I want to give a shout out to the baddest athletic director, Mr. Graylin Gordon. If you were not at none of those games, I wasn't able to be there all year because I had a knee replacement, so I couldn't go. But if you wasn't at these last couple games and watched him walk from one end to the gym to the other end of the gym to stop somebody from being disturbance, he was all over the place. You can't beat Graylin for being an athletic director. I don't know what's going on, but you can't beat him. He put in all his time. He made sure that the seniors came in, that they were seated. If there wasn't a seat, he made a seat. He made sure that everybody was taken care of. But kudos to you, Graylin. Also, I want to give thanks to my sister, Diana Darden. Diana Darden is over, I'm going to say she's over the East Chicago Central Alumni Reunion. When you talk about people coming dressing in red, packing out the games, Diana Darden had a lot to do with that on Facebook. She pushed, she loved her Central School. She loved those kids, she believed in Cardinal pride, and she made sure that she pushed. She's going to continue to push, and I just ask you, when she comes in front of you all, she's here and mean it from the bottom of her heart. But thank you. To Mr. President, congratulations. You are the president. You run the board. Please get Robert's rules so you know, and I know you will, you're going to get Robert's rules and you're going to run your board. Make everything that you do come from your heart. I was a past school board member. I was one of the first elected school board members that served for 2 terms. It was my decision to come off the board because I believe everyone has a chance to sit in that seat. But make your goals, because I had my goals. And my goals were achieved. The first thing when I came on, and some of you are on here, was to make sure, I was a parent for 13 years in the East Chicago school system. We didn't have benefits. My son went to the hospital every year for 17 years, and I'm gonna be done.
3 minutes, yeah, sorry.
Okay, and first thing we did was for the paras under Dr. Joe, and that passed to get 3 sick days. The second thing was the JROTC. That was my baby. And it came before I left off. The Vidoc that was by the library, I fought to keep it up, and I'm still fighting to get it back up. Keep your goal, make your goal, and follow your dream. Thank you so much.
Kenny Monroe. I'm sorry, Kenny Monroe. Sorry. Apologize.
Kensington Road, 3831 Ivy Street. First of all, I want to, Dr. Mitchell, great presentation. And to the East Chicago Central Cardinals, those that said it didn't mean anything, those that said it wasn't worth it, and those were the ones that were cheering like hell. So all that means something to these kids. And to you, sir, I'm in your favor right now because you're a kid person. I know things that you do for the kids after school. So we've got a real person that understands what kids need. Now all you got to do is put it in process. Work with the super, and y'all do a good job. I got a lot of confidence in you. Thank you.
Vanessa Hernandez Orange.
Vanessa Hernandez Orange, 1620 Senator Drive, and I hope I get an extra minute from Stacy, like Stacy did. Mr. President, I do ask that you not allow for you to be disrespected. I also ask that you allow our community to not be disrespected. And I also ask for you not to allow the children to be disrespected by your trustees. Children are watching. Children were here. We need to learn how to talk to people individually and accordingly. Please talk to your trustees. Next, the policy 0167.3, public participation. In this meeting, it does not state that you do not have to say anything after a motion has been made for a secondary motion. That actually makes it another item, which means that you do have to ask the audience on that motion. So what it says in that public participation meeting policy, it says that you cannot speak on the item twice. Once you make a secondary motion, then that makes it something different. So, Attorney Harris, we'll talk about that later. With that being said, we talk about sectionals, and we've been talking about sectionals and being bashed and so forth and so on, and how it's not important. This is what I want to tell you that happened last week. Jermaine Cousinard scored 55 points in 2 games in Oregon. That same game is when Kenny Lofton was presented Arizona Ring of Honor. That same week, East Chicago alumni Tiana Jackson led Kansas women's team to 2 wins of that week. She also was named the Player of the Week honors. Also, it stated that in a post I read about Greg Popovich, who also was from East Chicago. A sectional gives opportunities to individuals who do not have the opportunity. Education is a process. You have to be able to get good grades in order for you to even participate. Some of these children do not have tournaments outside of their school. They cannot afford to go outside of their school tournaments. Sectionals is a way for our children to get seen. Please stop disregarding their accomplishments and how hard they work. And if you're going to cheer and take pictures really loud and really happy and really proud, make sure that you support them on the back end. Meaning, if children are in the gym on the weekends, that's why cars are there, that's because they're supporting our feeder program. Those children who are in the feeder program, they're 1, staying off the streets, 2, finding an opportunity. So they could possibly go to college because they probably won't have the funds to get there. So if we're going to question, let's make sure we know why. But if you're going to smile hard,
3 minutes,
make
sir.
sure you know
Thank
why.
you.
So
Tammy
can I
Paul?
get my extra minute like the other individual, please? Because it's
Ms.
about
Paul?
the autism walk that we have.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the autism walk is happening here in East Chicago once again, and we are partnering, myself, Parks and Recreation, and the school city to have this walk. We're asked the school city, along with their partners that I have individually, along with the Park and Recreation, we are coming together. We served over 800 kids last year, or parents, kids, everyone who came. We have more vendors out there coming this year. The date, I'm trying to find my flyer and I can't, I'm so sorry. There you go, April 13th. So we hope to see you guys there, and the Parks and Recreation should be sending you a letter to ask for approval of the, there you go. Okay, thank you.
Tammy Poe.
No. Good evening, Tammy Pohl, Director of Special Education. I'm just going to add, one of the things that Miss Vanessa Orange said was, Hernandez Orange said was that it does create opportunities. So I just want to kind of piggyback off of that. I was at the game on Friday night and I was signing in people. I was amazed at the colleges that were there that were going to view. And so I signed in a bunch of them and I was like, where are you from? Where are you from? So we had some people out there watching our kids. So I was really excited. So to piggyback off of that, I know some opportunities will come off of that. I did want to talk about the autism walk too. I wrote a lot of things down, and so one of the things is I wanted to make sure that we double or triple the participation, and we need volunteers. So we are asking if you would like to volunteer, if you would like to participate. There's a QR code. We're going to ask to have the flyer posted on the website. We ask that you come out. It was an amazing event, and our kiddos, our families, it was just so big last year. We didn't expect it, but this time we wanted, like she said, to triple. We do need volunteers. The vendors that are going to be out there are going to give our kids resources, and they're going to help our parents. So please, there's a lot of different vendors, and we hope to double that as well. And then partnerships, anyone that you know that might be able to donate, make a donation so that it can defray the costs would be great. So I think I've covered everything there. Next, I want to talk about kindergarten roundup, coming right around the corner, and pre-K roundup. We're trying to keep our kiddos that are at pre-K and get them into our kindergarten classes. We are also trying to increase our numbers at the pre-K. But we would like to capture our kiddos. We don't want them to leave and go somewhere else. So what we're doing is we have a huge roundup that is going to take place on Thursday, March 21st from 9 to 12 and 2 to 5. We're going to have a small assessment. We're going to have vendors, of course. We're going to have our schools there to register the kiddos. We're going to have some giveaways. We are going to make sure that, of course, the families know that they have to have requirements, which are the forms of ID, the Social Security, the birth certificate, and their driver's license. Now, we are going to register all children, but we want to make sure that we capture our 5-year-olds first, get them in kindergarten, our 4-year-olds for pre-K, and those 3-year-olds that will be coming will then, it'll go in a matter of order for age-wise. We want to make sure we're addressing those 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, but 4 and 5-year-olds are the most important. Any questions? If you have any, you can please come and see me. We have the flyer already posted, English and Spanish. We hope to see as many of our kiddos and parents out come in so we can get going on that. We'll have a second registration, and that'll be sometime in May or so.
Mr. President, that was the last speaker.
And do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion by Trustee Gomez, second by Trustee Smith. Our next meeting will be a work session on Wednesday, March 6th at 6 p.m.
Trustee Gibson King?
Or, I'm sorry, the next regular session will be Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. Go ahead, Ms. Bigum.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Yes. Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Chairman Archiega?
Yes.